Well, the future of Australia's third largest airline is up in the air after it sought an immediate trading halt. The Transport Workers Union says the uncertainty surrounding Rex Airlines could place 2,000 jobs at risk. The Minister for Transport, Catherine King, joins us now from Sydney. Minister, good morning and welcome to News Breakfast.
Thanks for having me on, Lisa.
Let's talk about Rex. What can you tell us now as to what's going on with the airline?
So, as we know, they placed themselves in a trading halt yesterday, which means that shares can't be traded in the company pending an announcement tomorrow to the stock exchange, which they'll need to do. It's up to Rex to keep its customers informed as to what's happening. Obviously, it's continuing to provide services today. It's continuing to fly and provide those important services to regional Australia and obviously employment for its workforce. We're keeping a pretty close eye on the announcement tomorrow. And stand ready. You know, we think Rex is a pretty important part of the Australian aviation industry and stand ready to work with them to see whether there's any assistance or anything the government needs to do. This is, regional aviation is incredibly important and Rex is a very important part of that. Aviation's a pretty tough business and we're seeing that. Obviously, we saw that with Bonza folding. We don't want to see Rex fold as well, so we're keeping a fairly close eye on it, but that's what we know at this stage. And services are continuing. When
you talk about the government perhaps doing something to help, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a bailout, a cash injection?
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's see what the announcement is tomorrow. Certainly, we've seen speculation that there's been some instability at the board. Obviously, they're making some announcements tomorrow. We'll keep a close eye on that, but a bit early to speculate what that will look like. We're obviously putting some contingencies in place. We want to make sure that people continue to service in regional areas, but let's wait to see what the announcement is tomorrow. But what I would say is anything that the government did or if we were to do so, would really be looking at what is in the public interest to do, and we think very clearly it's important to keep regional aviation and regional connectivity.
Yeah, so I not even having to read between the lines, you wouldn't be prepared to let it go under. You're worried enough about ensuring that it still exists that you'd do something pretty substantial.
Well, let's see what happens tomorrow and the announcement they make to the Australian Stock Exchange. They've got obligations to do that, but as you know, we are absolutely aware, as a regional Australian myself, but absolutely aware of how important Rex is to regional connectivity, not just here where I am today through New South Wales, but through all of the country. It's obviously also introduced some competition into some of the bigger routes as well. I think they've just started to fly to Perth as well, just made those announcements. So we'll be keeping a fairly close eye on it. Important that Rex keeps its customers and its employees informed as to what's happening as well. These things do create significant uncertainty for staff, and no one wants to hear yesterday that they'd been placed in a trading halt. But there are of course a number of reasons that companies do that, and it obviously has a major announcement it's wanting to make tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it hasn't been long since we saw what happened to Bonza, so of course people are going to immediately feel pretty anxious. Vanessa Hudson, the CEO of Qantas, said that history proves that three airlines will always struggle to exist or cohabitate in Australia, that we just don't have the population for it. Is that the case, or is it that the big airlines have these monopolies, they've been given more help, more power? That's certainly the argument of the unions, who are very worried about jobs going here.
Well, aviation is hard. Like, it's hard everywhere. It's got a lot of costs in it, and it is really hard. You see aviation fail in other countries. You see that happen on a regular basis. So it is a really difficult business, and it has got a lot of costs in it. It is, we do have a really small market here in Australia. We, punch above our weight on a whole range of things, but we are a smaller population in terms of that. So it is really difficult for aviation to be sustainable. It's why the government and why we've been investing in a lot of work on an aviation white paper to look at, what does aviation look like for the next 20 years, and that's from, trying to make sure we've got better consumer guarantees, we've got better quality performance measures, we're looking after people with disabilities at our airports and airlines, and that we've got continued sustainability of our Australian airlines. Now, we obviously have Qantas and Virgin on the bigger side. Jetstar is the budget carrier, and Rex has played a really critical role in making sure we've got that regional connectivity, and the government is well aware of the important role that Rex plays.